Hello. So a lot of my friends, my YouTube friends, have asked me to do a quick thumbnail tutorial for YouTube thumbnails. So I'm gonna just run through one here. I'm not really gonna do any editing. I'll just talk my way through it, and if we'll get there in a roundabout way. Now, I'm going to treat this as if you've never seen Photoshop, because some of the guys who've asked for this, they say they look at Photoshop and they just completely don't know what's going on. So I'm going to just really treat this as if you've never used Photoshop in your life. So what we need first, obviously, is like a template. So what I do is normally I make a template which I then work off for all my thumbnails. What you're going to do is create a like a blank canvas like we've got here, and the dimensions you want are 1280 by 720. So what you need to do first is go to File, New, to create a new size, and you want custom, so you can create a custom size, and width in pixels is 1280, and then the height is 720. You want to set the background contents to transparent, and then you just click create and you get this blank canvas. Now the one I have actually created and saved is this, my template new, and any image you want to drag into Photoshop, you just drag it up to the top bar there and it'll open in Photoshop. So you can see there, that's my template, and I just saved it as a PSD. So once you've created your template, even if it's this blank one, you can just go File, Save As, and save it as a PSD. So this template PSD is what I use for all my thumbnails. So every thumbnail that I've done in the last 6 years has used this image, apart from maybe one or two. There are a couple of exceptions, but generally I like to use this background image as a base, just so that when people see one of my videos in their feed, just by this background they instantly know it's one of my videos. But I know a lot of people like to just create a brand new one for every time. That's fine. And at the end of this video, I'll actually go through and I'll create my thumbnail for this video, so you can see kind of my process. So we'll come back to that anyway. So just to clarify, I have absolutely no formal training in Photoshop. It's all stuff I've just taught myself to do. So some of the ways I do things might not be the proper way, or they might be the long way. There might be better and shorter ways to do it, but hey, this is how I know how to do it. So I'll just show you how I can. So we've got our blank here. Now you need a background image, so you can just go online and you can get any image. So it could be like, for example, if I drag this one in, we've got like a red background here, but you can get any image. It could be an image of literally anything. It could be a photo you've taken, it could be a screenshot of your video, whatever. And I'm just going to drag that into my template here. So we can see here that it may or may not be the right size. It actually looks like it's almost the right size. But what I can do, if I want to manipulate any image, I just press Control T, and I can see there that actually it's slightly larger than the area. Now on Photoshop, the current version, if you just drag the corner of an image, it will maintain the aspect ratio. If you hold Shift and do it, you can just freeform change the shape. Now that used to be the other way round. So on the old Photoshop, just press Ctrl Z to go back. On the old Photoshop, you actually held Shift to maintain the aspect ratio, and otherwise it was freeform. So that's kind of switched around. So that might be different depending on which version of Photoshop you're using. So I'm just going to make it a bit smaller there, just so it fits, and then just press enter to make the change. So that's kind of fit my my thumbnail there. So I can close that original one now. So I've still got my my template here. So for example, if you were gonna have this as your background, let's say you wanted to use this red background for all your videos, you would then go File, Save, and save it as my template or whatever. So I downloaded some images and just thought we could just doss around with a few images. So we've got some Mario ones. So I need to show you basically how to cut out images. So if I was to want this Mario in my thumbnail, I obviously don't want this blue background. Now this one's easy because it's like a uniform blue background. I don't have to go around and cut out Mario. I can just remove the blue. And here we've got the if you right click on any of these icons, so you can see I'm right clicking on these icons, you get all the options in that menu. So if I right click on this one, you've got the eraser tool, and then you've got magic eraser, and magic eraser will just remove everything of that colour. Now you see there I get a little crosshair. Now when you first open Photoshop you might not get a crosshair, and that's somewhere in the settings. I can't remember where, but if you Google it you can change the pinpointer to a crosshair, because I like having like a really accurate pinpointer of if I'm, you know, selecting something or erasing something. I want to be able to pinpoint the exact area I want to remove. Not really an issue here because the big blue area is absolutely huge, so if I just click on there it will remove all the blue. You can see there it's actually not done it perfectly, it's left a little bit of blue there. I can then just go in a bit more and there you go, properly sort of get down to the grey. I'm only going to do it very roughly for now. We can remove this blue in the hair, and then this side just use my magic eraser to get rid of all that. Then I can drag that over to my thingy, to my template, and I'll just leave it as it is for now. Now if I wanted to save this, like let's say, you know, I properly cleaned it up and the edges were all sorted and everything, I can then go File, Save, and as long as I save it as a PNG it will retain that transparent background. So if you want an image to retain its transparency, always save it as a PNG. I'm going to get rid of that for now. Now obviously this is way too big, so I'm going to do Control T to change the size, and again if I find the edges I can shrink it down, but if it's absolutely huge you can just use this height and width up here. So I can just say like change it to 20%, you know, and then I can just change it to be the same height as my thumbnail. So we can see there that the blue is a little bit of an issue there. So what we can do is, you see down here on the bottom right, any image you add creates a layer. So if I select that layer I can edit that layer. If I select that layer then it edits that layer. So any adjustments or like tweaks you want to do will be just on that layer. So if I select the Mario layer and I right click, I can go to this blending options, and I'll show you some more of this later. But one of the options is outer glow, so you can get this glow around the edge. So if I select the colour and I try and select that blue, it might be a little bit trickier than, maybe it's just manually selecting it is a better idea. You can make it so that, you know, that blue glow is like all around all of Mario, so it doesn't look so shit. You know, if you can't do like a really clean cut and get all the blue off, you can do that. If I just use the regular eraser tool, any tool you have you can use up here, change the size up here, so you can make it smaller or larger, so I can get rid of, you know, any little annoying bits on the side there. So once you've done that, I mean we're doing like a really basic thumbnail here, we can do something like get this Bowser. Now this is actually a PNG that I downloaded, so when you download a PNG it's already got the transparent background, so you don't need to cut anything out. So that's ideal. If you go online and you're looking for a picture of Mario, for example, just type in Mario PNG and hopefully you'll find like a decent enough PNG and you don't have to bother cutting it out like we did with this Mario. And I can put this Bowser in the background, and here with the opacity I can like make it, you know, really see-through, so it's just kind of like in the background. Let's move Mario over a bit, so we can see there Bowser's like just in the background, and we're going to put some text on the side here, so Bowser would just be kind of behind that. And then we want to add some text, so we're going to go to this tool here, looks like a T, which is the horizontal text, and then I just select my color, so white. Now you can have whatever text you want, but white text with a black outline is the best, because that will show on absolutely everything. So no matter what color your background images are, that text will show up really, really well. So I'm just going to, make up some text for this. It's a me, Mario. And then we'll select some random. I've got so many fonts here, so you can just download the fonts you want. Generally, if you want a particular font, you can just Google it and find it online. We've got like thousands of fonts on here. Let's just find something nice and chunky that looks reasonable. If there's like a particular video game font you like or whatever, you can normally find them online. Then, as normal, you just set it to, the alignment, so centered, or however you want it. Let's make it a lot bigger, 120. If you don't want the alignment, if you don't want it exactly in this position, you can just create 2 lines of text. So, for example, I'll create one that says "It's a me," and then I do another line of text saying Mario, and then I can just align them how I want. And then down here, I right click and I go to group from layers. Where am I? Maybe I have to razor ties it first. Yeah, group from layers. So razor tizing the text just means that you can't edit the text further, so you might have to do that before you can do certain things to it, but I don't need to edit it anyway. I'm happy with how it is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to again right click and go to the blending options like we did with the Mario. And now you can do this on either of the texts, but I want to do them both, so I may as well just do the group and it does them both at once. So in the blending options, I go to stroke, and I'm going to do stroke in black, which does this black outline. That's probably a little bit too big, so yeah, something like that, or even less, maybe 4. Yeah. And then you can do things like drop shadow, so you can do a little shadow coming out. What do you want? Distance. Yes, like that. So you can reduce the opacity a bit, and you get a nice little shadow there. And then because that's a group, I can then move that around as much as I want. So that could be a Mario thumbnail. You get the gist. You just edit the text however you want it. So now that I've got a template, I can just, if I open it, I can just remove the stuff that I don't want. Drag in any other image that I want to put in there. And then go again with my text. There we go. And then I can do my blending options again, whatever I want to do, and then move that around. So it's pretty easy. Once you've comfortable with a template, you can do stuff like that. Now I need to show you cutting out stuff where it's not as simple as just using the magic eraser. So for example, if I use magic eraser here, it's just going to see it's all messed up his hat because his hat's red as well, and the same on the white here. It will just remove part of his glove because the glove is also white. So we need to use some other tools to cut around this. And here you've got some tools. You can use the Polygonal Lasso or the magnetic. To be honest, the polygonal is like more work, but I do kind of prefer using that, and the magnetic does it for you. And what it does is, if I click there, you can just go around and it kind of hugs the image, so it should just hug Mario. And you can click, sometimes I'll just click manually on the corners just so that it finds the corners nice. But you see there, it's just going around Mario really nice. Now the polygonal is just manual, it won't hug the image at all, so it's up to you how you want to do it. But this magnetic one is really nice. You can see there it's doing a pretty good job of, okay, I say that, but yeah, there's an example. It's struggling a bit there, so you just need to give it a little bit of manual help by clicking. I'm going to give it a bit of help here because of the red, but still, even though it's red on red, it's doing pretty well. And we just go all the way around the Mario image. And then we can just cut that. I did a real botched job of that there just to rush it and show you. You can see all the whole bottom there is messed up. So yeah, you can see like where I started off, it went quite nice, but then I just rushed through it just to show you. But if you go kind of gently, you can smooth it out. You can also like create frames, so you could draw a frame or you can download a frame. If you go online and just Google, you know, a frame or whatever, you can find frames. So I'm going to hold shift here just so I can make it the right size. That's probably a little bit too big, so I'll just make it like a nice smallish frame. Try and make it as even as possible. There we go. So yeah, if you want like frames around your thumbnails, you can do that. I know a lot of people like to do frames around the thumbnails, and they do look quite good. And then you've got the advantage of, if I show you with Bowser, you can actually have Bowser above the frame, so it kind of creates that like a 3D layer on top. It does look quite cool, doesn't it? Let's just make him slightly smaller, right? And then if we go to the blending options and do like a drop shadow, does look pretty smart. And then we can add text in here. I've also downloaded some of these, like, you know, like you can download these like manga effects things. This one is a PNG, but I actually just need to remove the background. Now if you see a little stop sign, that normally means that it's indexed color, so you need to go to image mode and just change it to RGB color. So if you get any PNG images that don't let you actually edit them, you can go to RGB color, and then I can remove the background. See, then I can drag that into my image, and you know, you've got a little manga-y background there. But you can find a load of those online if you want to use stuff like that, and effects and, you know, little background things like that. Normally I don't bother with any of that. But then you know, if I want to add my text, here, add your text here, and then again, blending options, I'll do my stroke in black, and then I'll do a little drop shadow that way. And that looks pretty smart. That was like super quick. I mean, that's like a really cool thumbnail, right? You've got a nice frame, it stands out, the Bowser looks really cool, and then you've got your you know, your text there that's really clear to read because it's the white with the black background, the black outline. That's cool. That's like a really cool thumbnail. So there's definitely an option to use the frames and the layers to create that sort of pseudo 3D effect. So that's probably the basics of what you need to know to create your thumbnail. So what I'm going to do is create my thumbnail for this video. So I've got my background template there. Oh, another thing you can do is if you can't be bothered to mess around with fonts, you can use this website called flamingtext.co.uk, and it's got a ton of different logos and text, and you can just type in your text. So here I've just typed in flaming text, and then you can just use that. That's like an actual image. So then you can right click and you can do your, you know, your any blending options you want to do, stuff like that, you know, drop shadow or whatever, and you can use that text as your thumbnail text. So if you don't want to mess around downloading fonts and everything, you can do that. I'm just going to get rid of that layer. So what I've done is I've got a couple of snapshots of me. I need to choose one of these to use. We'll just use that, that's fine. So I need to cut myself out, so I'm going to do a mixture of, like, Magic Eraser can get rid of this stuff because that's pretty easy to do. You know, we'll let it do as much of the work as possible, and then we'll do the rest manually. So like I said, you can use the magnetic, but I do like the polygonal. I like to do it manually. So I'm just going to press Control Plus to zoom in. You get to see close up of my lovely face, and then I just go round manually like this. So I know it's a bit labour intensive, but I do much prefer doing it this way. I always get much cleaner results. So we'll just go round like this. So anytime I double click, it will just join it up. So you just double click anywhere and it will join up to make the area, and then I just press Control X and I can delete the area. So let me just whiz around and cut myself out, and I'll fast forward to the next bit. So I've cut it out with the Polygonal Lasso there, and I've chopped off some of this case. And the reason I was holding this case is because I actually want to put the Photoshop logo there. So what I'm going to do is just cut round this this thumb and create another layer, but I'll show you that in a sec. So what we're going to do is firstly we'll just drag me into the thumbnail, and we need to just resize that. So how are we going to do this? That'll do. Just going to clean that up there because there's a little bit of, there we go, using the eraser tool. Now I've got a image of the Photoshop logo, so I'm going to bring that in there. I'm going to use a magic eraser to just remove the background, and I'm going to remove that shadow as well, just so it's nice and clean. And then we'll drag that into the image. So what I want to do is make that roughly the same size as that CD case was, that Saturn game. So yeah, roughly that size, that'll do, and just pop that there. Now the thumb is now obscured. I really want the thumb to be above, so I'm just going to select that little bit of the image, make sure I select the right layer, so the layer with me on. I'm going to press Ctrl C to copy and Ctrl V to paste. You can see there it's brought layer 3 in, so if I bring that to the top, so the layer that's at the top is the one that will be, you know, above the others on the image. Then I can go back to my Polygonal Lasso, and I'm just going to chop out that bit that I don't want, the Saturn case, and just keep my thumb in there. And then double click, I can just delete that. So looks a bit weird, doesn't it? There we go. So now I'm holding the, you know, the Photoshop logo. I can put a little bit of a shadow on it. Make it a bit smaller. And you know what, I'm just gonna remove that. See, it's not quite lined up, that thumb. Got to get it perfectly lined up. There we go. Make it a little bit smoother there with some eraser. There we go. That'll do. It just looks a little bit. Once you zoomed out, it'll look fine anyway. So there's me holding a Photoshop logo. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to take all those and I'm going to group them together. So that layer 3, the Photoshop logo, and the original me. And then I can go to the blending options. I'm going to do this outer glow, which is rather nice. And you can choose, you know, whatever colour you want, and you can do this little outer glow around you, so you get a little glow going on. Or you can do whatever you want. You can do stroke, you know, so it just does a white outline. I know a lot of people like doing that, so you can, if I just remove that, you can do stroke, white outline. I see a lot of YouTubers doing this, so they just got a white outline around them. See, a lot of people like doing that. When you do that stroke, you kind of get to see all the imperfections that you've done on the image. So there's a couple there. See, I can remove those, and you can see it's not very clean here, so I can just neaten that up a bit. Doesn't really matter too much to me, but yeah, you can do that if you want like a white outline on there. And then I need to add my text, so I'm going to get my text thingy, and I guess we're going to have Photoshop thumbnail tutorial as the text. So there we go. I actually ended up moving myself over to the right so I can have the Photoshop logo in the middle there. And then we got Photoshop thumbnail tutorial. It's not the greatest thumbnail ever, but for the purposes of this video, absolutely fine. So you get the gist. We could even put like something in the background. Let's have a look. So we can get this other Photoshop logo and have a fiddle around. If we move it down to the bottom, oh, it seems to be part of that layer. There we go. That group rather. We can kind of, let's make it bigger, and we can rotate it, and we can kind of have that in the background just to spice it up a bit, and then put the opacity down really low, just so we've got something in the background that looks a bit exciting. There we go. So yeah, I mean, Photoshop thumbnail tutorial, that'll do. That's the gist of it. It was a really basic guide there. In fact, looking at it, I can see there's a little bit that needs cleaning up. There we go. So when you're done, normally I'll save that as a PSD in case I want to come back to it and edit anything. When you want to save it, you go save as, and you save it as a JPEG. And I'm going to call that thumbnail tutorial. So that JPEG is what I'll actually upload as my thumbnail when I upload my video. Yeah, very basic guide, but you get the gist. If you have no idea how to create thumbnails, then hopefully that guide will give you the gist. You know, so to recap, you've got your polygonal lasso and magnetic lasso if you want to cut stuff out. You've got the eraser tool and magic eraser. Magic eraser will just remove all of one color, and then you've got your text. So that's enough to just, even those few tools is enough to let you, manipulate images and create, create basic thumbnails. Yeah, so that's it. Hope you guys found that somewhat useful, especially those of you that have been asking for this. If you've got any other questions, or if I've not been clear on anything, you can ask me in the comments or send me a message or whatever, and I'll try to help. Thanks for watching.